our new album, Love and War.
Thematically, this was an album we actually, I think it was the first album we've ever known the title right off the bat. Just because as we were writing, those two themes kept coming up over and over. And, you know, a lot of people know us as the girls, obviously, who take a stand for hard things and who are willing to raise a banner and I mean, we really feel like God has called us to abide by Romans 12:2 and Isaiah 61 and just a few key verses for us. And so with this album, we knew we were going to go down that road, obviously, of fighting for what you believe and of really taking a hold of everything God has for you. And we began to really shift at the same time in that everything we do and the reason why we give our lives is really for love. And so those two themes kept coming up, and so we just kept going, it's Love and War, it's got to be the title. And we just feel like time is short. We're in a time right now where we need to find out who we are, and we need to find out who God is more than ever now in this season. And that's what this album really is about for us girls. And it's a very urgent album. I think that came through lyrically as well as musically. And yeah, it's a for such a time as this, I think, moment for us girls.
I feel like us girls kind of gained a different confidence on this album that we haven't had before. I think, you know, being a girl band, it's intimidating, you know, I mean, there's just not a lot of girl bands in the industry. And so there was always kind of that insecurity for us girls. And I think it finally came to a place where us girls really started loving what we're doing and just throwing the insecurity aside and say, okay, so we're not the best band in the world, but let's love what we're doing because this is what we're called to do and this is what we're called to be. And so just that love, we really put that in this album. Like we went, you know, deeper musically than we ever had before, just trying to explore all the different kinds of, you know, different ways that these songs could be played. And I feel like we've just never loved making music so much on this album. So I'm really excited just musically where we went. And then, you know, lyrically, us girls kind of maybe tried different writing styles a little bit. And it was never really intentional. It just kind of happened. So I'm really excited.
Beautiful Ending is really I think an open door for us girls to really show people what we've been dealing with for years. That's something that from day one of this ministry, we were very, very scared to go into full-time ministry because our biggest fear was that we're going to spend our whole lives serving God, but we're going to forget about spending time with Him in the process. And I think it's a legit fear because I think it's a story that you see very, very often. There's a very strong beginning and a very tragic ending. And I think where we get lost and where we really get messed up as people is in the beginning we have one thing as our goal, as our finish line, and somehow it begins to shift. The more success we have, the more prosperity we have, we begin to shift what we think our finish line should be, and so we start running after the wrong things, and you know, whether it be success or fame or you know, in our line of work, album sales, #1 singles, and all that kind of stuff that really messes with your mind after a while if that's what you're focusing on. And I think that we began to realize at the end of the day, we don't get to take any of that with us. You know, God isn't going to ask us how many albums we've sold when we get to heaven. You know, and I think what we're realizing is at the end of the day, ending up in His arms is it.
I think too, like, one thing that I've been seeing lately is like God does bless us in our callings, and sometimes we get so distracted with the blessing and the calling,
we forget Him.
We totally forget about that one-on-one relationship. And even too, like, I would find myself some nights like taking less and less prayer time because like, well, God shows up the same every night. You know, I can take time to do other things, but like there's just like a correction in my heart of no, the more importantly than going up on stage, more importantly than ministering to the thousands, whatever, it's that, you know, that closet time, that one-on-one relationship time. And because if you don't have that, you can easily find yourself being deceived, and you can easily stray off the path, even just in doing good and doing what you think is right, but knowing that if you don't have that time, yeah, you can easily fall away.